Welcome to today's preview episode for the 2027 World Series. This is an exciting one. Baltimore has advanced to play Colorado in the final. If you look at the playoff tree here, it's been a really interesting playoffs. San Francisco looked completely untouchable for two series. They destroyed a really solid Pittsburgh team. They absolutely obliterated St. Louis in a four-game series. There was literally 10 hits by St. Louis in that series. So you figure that they were on fire, and it was going to be a really good series against the Rockies, which was a pretty good one. The Rockies played against San Francisco here. They won the first game in the 10th inning, and they won another pretty close game here. And then they had a day off, and then they lost a couple. So the series evened out at 2-2, both, again, 1 and 2 run losses in games. So all four of these games were very close from the looks of it here. And then this game was also close. So the series was at 3-2, really tight. Contested series. Both teams were really solid, very similar teams. Really like a coin flip who was going to win all season. For the last 2 or 3 years, these teams have pretty much been neck and neck in the standings. The main difference was I think Colorado got the superstar Jonathan Peterson, the second baseman here. They called him up about halfway through the year. He is just unbelievable. He's got 75 infield range there playing second base. So his zone range is just outrageous there. He learned the position a little bit, so his zone range wasn't quite as high as it is. I think he'll be absolute freak MVP candidate the next few seasons here. So adding him to the lineup, I actually voted him Rookie of the Year with only 57 games started. That's just how outrageous his season was. Dude has a 370 ISO, some of the craziest stats you'll ever see. So this guy is just unbelievable, absolute freaky. So he kind of came to their team, and then the second half they kind of exploded. If you look here, well, I guess they're actually almost better in the first half, but they did finish 14-8 there. Just a freaky team. First in pitcher WAR, third in pitcher hitting WAR there. So the combined WAR they had was pretty much 66, 65.8. So that's just insane. If you look at Baltimore's here, they were quite a bit lower here. The combined WAR was only 48, so it's almost 15 WAR better or something like that. My math's probably off, but the Baltimore's still a really solid team. Colorado just has some crazy athletes. So if you look at here, they ended up winning, go out 3-2, and then they won a big 7-1 game. So that was the first game that was a big run differential game. You just had Susac go off there. My boy, I traded to them. Drafted him in the 7th round, just turned into a freak. So he was 6.1 innings. He only allowed 1 run, 8 strikeouts. Bullpen did his job there. It got him almost 3 innings, shutout ball there. So just a really good game. Tang here got blown up a little bit by that Colorado lineup. 4 runs. Luke Jackson, my old boy, came in there too and let up a few. So finally, the Colorado pulled ahead there. But what a good series! A 4-2 final. Could have gone 7 pretty easily. The whole match was really tight. And then if on the other side here we got Baltimore. Baltimore made a shocking win of Boston there. I knew they had a shot with how good those starting pitchers were. Boston was still pretty scary and the heavy favorites, I would say, but they came away with a big win against Boston. Some really good pitching that series. Not many teams hold Boston to 5 runs, 2 runs, 4 runs, 2 runs, 4 runs, 2 runs. That's really rare. Boston is a top 3 offense in the league every single season. So really good job by their pitching staff. And then they went and played Los Angeles, who I think that was just pretty much the pitching difference there. If you look here, Los Angeles couldn't score anything against that Baltimore rotation. Los Angeles offense is solid, but definitely I'd say Baltimore's top 4 all just as good as LA's best pitcher Bruno. Even Master Donato there, their 4th is pretty equal to Bruno. Bruno's probably a bit better than him, but the other 3, it's all, so it just shows how good they got 4 guys as good as Bruno. Their rotation's just insane. So the pitching just absolutely shut down Los Angeles lineup there. Los Angeles scored 4 runs here and got the win, but then they got beat 9-2, and then they did score 4 runs again. Baltimore offense went quiet that game, but then Baltimore came back and scored 7. So pretty good series there. I think the main difference was the pitching. On Baltimore's side, just shut down the LA bats for almost every game except for that 1 9-run game. Or sorry, the 4-run games here. I was looking wrong. So really, LA just couldn't get anything going. Scored. So the total runs scored by LA the whole series were 0-0, 4, 2, 4, 3. So really, it's just 4, 4, 3, and then a bunch of nothing. So really dominating performance there by Baltimore's pitching staff again. And now we have the Colorado. So this is going to be one of the best matchups you could ask for. The Colorado hitters versus the pitching on Baltimore side. And then also you have a really interesting lineup on Baltimore side. When we did the previews, I noticed this. Almost everyone has high avoid K on Baltimore. They were first in the league in strikeouts, least strikeouts. In case you're wondering, I always used to get confused by that. When it says first for offensive strikeouts, it's like the least amount of strikeouts. So if you look at their offense compared to like another really good offense like Boston, it's like 200 less strikeouts, right? So really crazy. They don't have a lot of power, but they hit a lot of singles and they have a lot of avoid K. So if you go through their lineup, the avoid K is 70 and then 55, and then they got 55, and then they got 45 for the big power bat there, and then they got 50, and then they got 65, a really elite approach there, and then 55. And not many first basemen have 55. Like a lot of times your first base power bats got like 40, 45, right? That's why these are, even those like 50s are decent. And then they got 70, and then they got the 40 center fielder there. So their whole lineup is plus avoid K. No one really strikes out a ton, except for obviously like the 8 and 9 hitters, but you get the really, really good. It's tough to get like 12, 13 strikeouts against them and get those dominating pitching victories. So that's why their offense is pretty consistent. So if you look here, they were like third in batting average, first in strikeouts against. They don't have, like I said, much power. Home run power is only 10th. So they got to win their games by hitting a lot of base hits and getting on base with the walks and stuff. So Colorado, which is really interesting because Colorado has some, if you look at the way the pitching matches up there, they got some pretty dominant pitchers here. You got the big strikeout guys in 22% strikeout rate, Sellinger, and Susak's got the 20% strikeout rate with 60 stuff, and Kyle Wright's got the 25% strikeout rate with 65 stuff. So you have a lot of really heavy arms here. With another high stuff arm there, that Hector Moria, which is really interesting. They didn't start him all season. Gave him a couple starts in the playoffs there. Got blown up pretty hard there against San Francisco's last start. So it'll be really good. You got the really good pitching here on Colorado. They were first in pitching WAR. I know you can't really go by the stats too much because in Coors it's just like you get 321 BABIP. It's ridiculous, but obviously still like if you look at those individual pitching ratings, a better way to look at it. You got some really really nasty seasons here. You got the elite closer here in Catlin. Got a bunch of really good lefties in the pen. They got as many lefties as anyone. I don't know if that was just a matchup thing against San Francisco. They got the lucky lefty Davidson, Moya here, and then you got Sanchez, and then you got Thornstein. So you got a lot of really heavy stuff guys here. You don't have anyone in this lineup that doesn't have green stuff. You got a lot of movement for Coors. So you're just really probably not going to see like hardly any home runs on the Baltimore side, which is why I'd say Baltimore's probably favored in the series quite heavily. Or sorry, Colorado is. Colorado, I just don't see Baltimore being able to score a ton of runs against Colorado because Colorado's pitchers are just so good. And then, like I said, the movement's so high, I can't see them really letting up any home runs. So that Baltimore lineup doesn't have a lot of power other than Adley Rutschman. So I could see a lot of like 5-3 victories from Colorado. That'd probably be my prediction. Maybe Colorado in 5 or 6. But I don't. It's really hard to say that against a team with a rotation as good as this. I just really don't think the offense is quite on the same par. But it's hard to see a team losing in 4, 5, or 6 games when you have this kind of rotation. You get Rocker, Spar, Master Donato, and Crispin. Like they're just unbelievable pitchers. Just so nasty. Like even Master Donato's gotten so good here. He's really pretty close to being an ace, I'd say. If he can get to 60 stuff and maybe that 55 control, and then everything like that slider reaches potential, he really is just like an ace. He's probably a guy that once he gets that controls, batted ball percentage here, probably go to based on balls percentage here. The walk percentage probably go like to 8%. Home run rate probably drop a little bit because it just went to 65 movement there. Wouldn't be surprised if you could hold that right to about 0.9 or 1. That gets to about 8% on the season next year, and then maybe this goes up to like close to 20% when he gets to his potential. So if you up all those based on his current ratings and what he might be in the future, this guy might be like a 4th ace, which is insane. So might be like probably like a top 10 pitcher in baseball, age 25 or under. So really, really insane to have those 3 guys, and then they have Master Donato as the 4th. So it'll be really good. It wouldn't surprise me one bit if Baltimore just went fired out again and just came out and had like a bunch of shutdown performances. I know it's really, you're not going to shut down Colorado's offense, but you could slow them down. But it wouldn't shock me if Baltimore came out with some like insane pitching performances and kept the series close and went to 6 or 7 and squeaked out a victory. But odds are, I'd say, is Colorado's just a little too heavy on the bats. I can't see them scoring less than 4 or 5 runs a game with this kind of offense. And like I said, when your number 7 hitter has a 370 ISO, which is like Barry Bonds shit, it's just sickening. Zach Veen is one of the best hitters in baseball, and then you get the heavy 70 contact Alec Thomas, Cade Doughty, with just a really solid all around bat. DS MVP there. And you got Sandro Fabian at 35 home runs a couple times now. He had 39 home runs for me a couple years ago. Just an unbelievable hitter there too. Pache had just a monster 5 WAR season. 38 stolen base. You got the speed too. That's the scary thing, is they don't just have the contact and power. You get speed. Peterson has some major speed here. Pache steals a ton of bases. Fabian moves around the bases pretty well, and then you got Doughty as a decent runner here. Well, a lot better than decent actually. 15 stolen base, 1 caught, and then you got Zach Veen's a tremendous runner. 70 speed, 70 stealing. I mean, base running, and then you got Alex Thomas is one of the best stealers in baseball. 80 stealing, 27-3 ratio. So the base stealing in this team is just nuts. If you look here, the base running second stolen bases. So they steal bases, they hit a bunch of power, they hit a bunch of contact. So I think that's definitely the difference in the series. But anyways, that's just my prediction. The predictions mine don't really matter. More so, I just kind of want to do a preview here and talk about the matchups. So I think that's how it's going to go. I think it'll be big to see how well these Colorado pitchers can play, because I think their offense is always going to show up. Just a matter of if those pitchers can show up and shut down that pretty solid Baltimore lineup with a lot of avoid K. So let's see this matchup tomorrow night, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and we'll see who's going to be World Series champs. Good luck to both fellas.